Have you ever had that feeling like you're just an actor reading lines from a script you didn't even write? Well, what if I told you there's a whole philosophy out there that says you're not just the actor, you're the director, the writer, and the star of the whole show? It's this idea that you have way more control over your reality than you might think. So let's just dive right in.
And that really is the core question here, isn't it? It's what philosophies like reality transurfing and the teachings of Neville Goddard are all about. They basically propose that your experience of life, it's not some fixed external thing that just happens to you. Nope. They say it's more like a dynamic, living reflection of what's going on inside you, your thoughts, your consciousness, your core assumptions. I know it's a pretty bold claim, right? So let's break down how it supposedly all works.
All right, we're going to break this down into 5 main ideas. First, the world as a mirror. Then, this concept of choosing from infinite alternatives. After that, we'll get into the tools of creation, how to avoid the energy traps, and finally, what it means to truly embody the reality you choose.
So first up, let's get into this foundational premise, this idea that the world around you is basically a giant mirror.
Okay, so what exactly is this dual mirror? Picture this. On one side, you've got your inner world, right? Your thoughts, your feelings, your general vibe. And on the other side, you've got physical reality, the world you see and touch. The idea here is that the outside world doesn't have its own separate plan. It's basically just reflecting your inner world right back at you. It takes your consistent thoughts and feelings and turns them into actual, tangible things and situations in your life.
And this quote just illustrates the mistake we all make so perfectly. We try to change the world by force, by pushing against that reflection. We get mad at the traffic, we get frustrated with our boss, we get upset about the news, which is all kind of like trying to change your facial expression by poking at your reflection in the mirror. It just doesn't work. According to this philosophy, the only way to change the reflection is to change the image itself first, which means you got to change your own internal state.
So, if the world is a mirror, what exactly is it reflecting? Well, that brings us to our next big idea. This incredible field of infinite alternatives. They call this the alternative space. The best way to think of it is like an infinite library of movies. On one shelf, there's the movie of your life, where you're a successful artist. On another, you're a scientist. And on another shelf, there's a version almost identical to your current life, except you chose a different coffee this morning. The thing is, all of these potentials already exist, but just as pure information, like templates, just waiting to be brought to life.
And how do you pick one? Well, the proposed mechanism is pretty wild. Your consciousness, that is, the energy of your thoughts and your feelings, it acts like a projector light. It shines on and illuminates a specific movie reel in that alternative space. And poof, that's the reality that actually solidifies and plays out for you. So you're not creating reality out of thin air. You're selecting it from this infinite menu of possibilities.
Okay, so if we're constantly selecting a reality, how in the world do we do it on purpose? That leads us to the practical part, the actual tools of creation, intention and assumption. Now, reality transurfing makes this really crucial distinction between 2 kinds of intention. First, there's inner intention, and you know this one well. It's pure willpower, it's the hustle, the grind, forcing things to happen. But then there's outer intention, and this is where it gets interesting. This is more of a calm, confident decision to simply have something. I mean, think about looking for a parking spot. Inner intention, that's you frantically circling the lot, getting stressed. Outer intention is you just deciding, hey, a great spot is waiting for me, and then calmly driving towards it, just knowing one will open up. It's a total shift from fighting with the world to, well, allowing the world to bring you what you've decided on. And this lines up perfectly with the mystic Neville Goddard's law of assumption. He taught that the key isn't just thinking about what you want, but mentally and emotionally living in the state of your wish already being true. The real work is getting every part of yourself to truly believe and feel like it's already yours. That feeling, that core assumption, that's the creative act.
This quote just sums it all up, doesn't it? Assumptions harden into facts. By consistently assuming the feeling of your wish being fulfilled, you are impressing this new reality onto your subconscious mind. Then, your deeper self starts to influence your actions and organize things in the outside world to match this new, deeply held belief. The assumption, when you hold it with feeling, eventually materializes as a cold, hard fact.
Of course, it's not always that easy, is it? According to these teachings, there are these common energy traps that can totally derail the whole process and pull you right back into a reality you don't actually want. So, the first trap is what transurfing calls pendulums. Imagine these as massive, collective currents of thought that are created when a whole bunch of people start thinking in the same direction. They act like energy vampires, feeding off the emotional energy of individuals just to grow stronger. And their number one survival tactic is to create conflict and get you really, really emotional just to keep you hooked in.
And you see these things everywhere. Intense political battles, diehard sports fans who hate the other team, super divisive social debates, even things like fashion trends or corporate culture. Here's the kicker. It doesn't matter if you love them or hate them. Any strong emotional reaction means you're just feeding your energy into that pendulum's current, and that pulls you into its reality and away from your own chosen path.
Now, the second trap is a bit of a mind-bender. It's called excess importance. This is what happens when you make a desire too important. By desperately wanting something and being terrified you won't get it, you create what's called an excess potential, basically a pocket of really unstable energy. And since nature always seeks balance, the world actually generates forces to neutralize your anxiety, which often show up as new obstacles that push your desire even further away.
So the key here, and this is so important, is to practice non-attachment. You have to lower the stakes, reduce the importance you're putting on the outcome. I love this analogy from a Reddit user. It's just perfect. They said to treat your biggest desire as if it's just a watermelon. Think about that, a watermelon. It's nice to have, sure, but your life doesn't depend on it. That kind of emotional neutrality, that's what dissolves all that excess energy and just lets your intentions slide into reality, smooth as can be.
And, this brings us back to a really crucial point. A big challenge with all of this is that it can seem like it assumes we have one single unified mind. But in reality, our minds are more like a messy committee, right? We have subconscious beliefs and hidden fears that might be in total conflict with our conscious desires. So just telling yourself to reduce importance is really tough if a part of you is secretly terrified of what will happen if you succeed or fail. Getting everything on the same page is the real work. So, let's put it all together. With the mirror, the alternatives, the tools, and the traps, what's the ultimate takeaway here? What does this all boil down to?
Well, it really comes down to this profound shift in how you see things. The goal isn't to run around chasing things that you want. The goal is to become the person who already is or has those things. The focus shifts entirely from wanting and effort to being and embodying. It's about changing the actual image in the mirror, not running after the reflection. You assume the state of being, and the physical reality has no choice but to follow.
At the end of the day, these ideas place a radical amount of responsibility right in our laps. They suggest the world is this constant feedback loop, just reflecting our own state of consciousness back to us. And that's a powerful and maybe even a little daunting thought to carry around. So it leaves us all with one final question to think about. If your reality truly is a mirror, what image are you going to choose to show it today?